Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural, Jack in the Box. So you can tell from the title of this episode that this is gonna be bad. Oh my god. This wasn't a complete and utter shit sandwich. It wasn't a completely horrible episode, but it just became so problematic on levels that I didn't even think we would reach. But then again, that's just these writers and the directors really just proving me wrong on certain points completely. Because I thought that like season 6 and season 7 would be kind of like the worst case scenario of Supernatural, and God, this season's just, so, this episode starts out with us again being hammered home with the fact of Mary's death. This time, we have found other hunters that weren't affected of the Michael, purge of the hunters that had been in the bunker at this point, and they're doing a wake thing for Mary, and pretty much telling us how important she was without really showing us how important she was. It it's really bad when it's gotten to a point where they're trying to elicit an emotional response from the audience, and you're kind of really you can barely get there because of how ineffectually utilized she's been as a character. But we're seeing Sam and Dean talking about him and talking about her to the crowd. We see one dude's not really getting into like the clapping and everything, and we see that Apocalypse Bobby comes in and throws a hatchet at his head, and come to find out it was a wraith, part of a wraith nest that Mary had taken out. We then get that Bobby's in on it and says that he's gonna go after Jack and take him out, and he's gonna gather a group of hunters and everything, and that's pretty much kind of what Sam and Dean are kind of thinking. I mean, they haven't gotten to that point yet, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But we then continue on. We see that Bobby is going to get his own group together and try and take out Ark Nephilim with no idea how to do it. Okay, that's stupid. And the thing is, he's immediately gone into Jack's a monster mode without even trying to ascertain what's going on with him. It's really kind of crazy. He fought with Jack in the Apocalypse world for a while, and he's like immediately, oh, there's can be no explanation of why it would have been good to kill Mary Winchester. Okay, that's fucking cool. But they go off on their route, and then of course Cass goes to heaven and tries to talk to Naomi. We find out that Duma has pretty much thrown a coup on Duma has thrown a coup onto Naomi, locked her in a cell and everything for what happened with the whole empty situation. And Cass is just trying to get help, trying to find Jack. Of course, this is a stupid and boneheaded move on Cass's part, where Duma then goes and finds Jack. I mean, he's still having his fucking episodes with Lucifer fucking vision, and it's like, alright, whatever. But then Duma pretty much goes and uses him as a tool and manipulates him into trying to bring heaven back. And starts going after blasphemers and heretics and all that kind of stuff, pretty much trying to make it old school biblical heaven. We see him turn a dude into a pillar of salt and start using other biblical ways to take out people, and Duma's like, hey, we kind of need more angels, and decides to let him sit on God's throne to listen to prayers and try and find people that are willing to have their souls reforged into angels. And that just completely fucks with the lore. And I'm not talking about Data's brother from Star Trek. I'm just like, the fuck? The longer a show goes on, the more I become convinced that there needs to be someone in the writer's position of a lore master. I know that there's probably supposed to be some kind of position there, but there needs to be someone to handle these kinds of things, because that's a big, radical thing that is brought so late in the game that nobody's kind of brought up. It's like, if that was the case and it was that easy, why hasn't anybody been doing that? I mean, but then again, we see that he finds an amiable group of people, and the leader of that congregation to come in and be like, I don't believe you, and all that kind of stuff. And with Jack not showing off his wings or any kinds of his powers to convince him of who he is, he just immediately lets worms crawl out of him and start eating him and all that. And it's like, okay, whatever. Sam and Dean, of course, start getting into this. They question the dude who had survived the worm attack, but we get a stinger at the end after he gives the information of that it was Jack and all that, of a worm coming out, so I guess he's dead. I don't care, because it's mainly just, alright, red shirt exposition dump, man, fine. Of course, Cass is kind of pissed off and has figured out that Duma has done this shit, and goes to confront her in heaven. And of course, he has to do his whole spiel of getting into heaven, and we see that Jack has taken that congregation and is forging them into angels. Now, I thought this was going to go further and showed that it's not working out that way. And see, a main pivotal part of this is Duma has pretty much manipulated Jack into thinking that if Jack does all this stuff and makes heaven great and the world great, that'll be a good thing that Sam and Dean will like, and that'll be a thing for him to get back into their good graces. Again, really kind of defeating the whole point of trying to make him appear soulless. It just makes him appear to be a child and more naive than anything else. But of course, he's getting through a little bit of it, and multiple things start happening at once. Cass is able to have gotten into heaven and starts confronting Duma on this, and of course she pulls the card of like, hey, I can snap my fingers and completely and utterly destroy the happy heaven that Mary Winchester's in, and Cass, growing a pair of balls and understanding the situation, fucking kills her. That's pretty much the greatest part of this whole episode. Cass's whole arc, which isn't completely finished yet, where he tries to help and find Jack, makes a mistake, and rectifies the mistake. Of course, we see that Jack is able to hear Sam's prayers because he is praying to Jack to get him to come to them. Because while everything's been going on, Dean's whole plan now is that they can't kill Jack, so they're going to stick him in the box. I wouldn't mind the box that they had made to put Dean in when he had Michael in him. This is less of an Occam's razor kind of effect, and like Chekhov's gun, where, okay, you've got this thing, and you have to use it. This is more of, these writers have so many dangling plot threads running around, and they're like, oh, we can just take this thing that we left over here and use it again. And the way he's justifying it to Sam of being like, lie to him about we'll have a thing to fix his soul, we'll stick him in the box, and then it's done. And it completely fucks with the whole core of these characters, in my opinion. Granted, I understand that sounds hyperbolic, but even though we've seen that Dean went off to cry on his own about his mom, Jack was family. And Dean's done worse, and Sam's done worse, and this kid is like barely 3 years old, and they're ready to condemn him for all of eternity, without even knowing the full extent of what had occurred. And he's trying to get Sam to buy off on this as well, and it just completely surprises me that the writers would allow the characters to go in this route. It's not really... I don't mind the route that they're going with, but the thing is the execution of getting to this point of how rocky it's been to get Jack into this position, to have Mary be the impetus of this. It just rings hollow and rings of the plot forcing the Winchesters to act in a way that's really kind of against even their core values of being a family. Because, shit, if that's the case, fucking, when Dean came back from hell, he should have fucking killed Sam. Right off the gate. I mean, granted, Jack might not be blood related, but I mean, shit. Cass has done just as horrible of things, and they don't go off cracking and killing his ass. It's just, I don't like how they went and just immediately tricked and not even tried to figure out a way to help Jack. He's just like, screw it, kill my mom, he's dead to me, whatever. So Jack was in the middle of forging new angels and decides to go and explains the situation. And I think he explains it well enough. Dean, of course, is already in, like, fuck this kid mode and is pissed off when it's, like, related to him as an accident. And I'm like, I understand that it's your mother and a loved one, but even I cannot buy into his rationalization of like, oh, it's an accident and he's super duper pissed. He's like, I'm gonna fucking make this kid be buried alive for all of eternity over this one thing. He has made multiple mistakes, but he has shown a willingness to try and rectify this mistake. The whole last episode was him attempting to rectify that mistake. That is an important bit. Oh. And because they want Dean to be this way, that's the way we get Dean. And Sam is, like, not convincing at all. It's mainly down to having to write. I don't know how Jack would have got by that, like, Sam is, like, really fucking upset and is doing something that he really doesn't want to do and trying to trick Jack into the box. Damn it. It's not even like it's played as a joke. It's played so seriously. I would have been okay with it if Dean had went complete Hambo Rambo Jambo and said, we're going to put Jack in the box. And then both of them just fucking turn to the camera and it's like, ha ha ha, laugh track, fucking. But it's serious, and that's why it's irksome. So they lead him to the box. They don't even tell him a time frame. He just believes them, and it's just. Sam does not really act very well of trying to make this sound even remotely convincing, and they gotta just make Jack dumb. So he gets in the box, Dean locks him in there and says, hey, we won and everything. Of course, Jack is freaking out inside the box, and his Lucifer hallucination's like, hey, use your full power set. And this, while Cass has come back and says, hey, Dumo was manipulating him, we just gotta find him, we can fix this whole thing. He's like, fuck that, and Dean's like, fuck that shit, we already put him in a box. He's like, that's bullshit, and I love Cass calling him on that bullshit. And granted, he should have brought up all the multiple times that Sam has done stupid shit, Dean has done stupid shit, Cass has done stupid shit. I mean, Sam started the apocalypse. Dean did the whole Mark of Cain fiasco. Cass did everything with trying to usurp Evan and start an angel war and take down all the angels, pretty much starting to lead into this thing. Did the whole Leviathan thing. And this Nephilim, this kid who has been through a lot, who died, and then they brought him back with soul magic, burns off his soul to save everyone, and still doesn't have complete and utter control of his powers. Put him in a box. Well, I just love how useless the box was at this point, because Jack busts out, uses his full powers, they go and they see him eyes blazing and all that, and it's almost to a point where, like, it's pretty bad when I can be like, I can understand Jack wanting to kill the Winchesters at this point. And almost being to the point of being like, I would almost go for him taking out the Winchesters. I don't like that. I've loved seeing the Winchesters throughout all these seasons, but what they did to the Winchesters at this point was not good. And just wasn't really nuanced. It was just like a flip of a switch of like, okay, they're supposed to be the protagonists, so we have to buy into their whole thing. And I'm like, no, I never thought I'd get to a point where they'd write it to a scenario that I'm like, you know what, I don't mind if the bad guy kind of fucks up the Winchesters for at least one round to like get them to learn their lesson. And Then, of course, Jack leaves. We then get the previews of what is going to occur because, well, they have now really fucking screwed the pooch, and we see that they have decided to use the Archangel Blade, and from what it looks like, I assume that they melted down into a bullet. And Dean's got it in a gun, and we see that Jack understands the scenario and is pretty much letting Dean ready to kill him in the next episode. I can understand changing more throughout certain scenarios, but the thing is, from what I remember, you needed an Archangel to wield this blade in order to fight another Archangel and take him out. How is that going to be like... Are they going to say that there's like traces of Archangel Grayson Dean and that is why he's able to use the bullet to kill an Archangel? I don't know anymore. I expect the lore to change on the fly every week now, and even though I expect that, the lengths to which they go for it boggles my mind. This season finale is going to be fucking nuts, and I kinda just want them to kill Jack because this character doesn't deserve this anymore, and I have no idea what they're going to be doing for season 15. It's going to be really interesting to see how they fucking do this. I don't know. This was just a whole mess, just leading to the season finale of a whole messy season, and I don't know. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.